Today I'll show a fantasy horror movie from 2021 called The Feast. The movie starts with a woman likes to put glass up her crotch. She watches a man bathe, that man likes to caress himself. And a weird brother. A Welsh folklore creature rises from the earth to take revenge on a family who has been drilling the earth. The characters that die in this film is reflective of how they treated nature. An oil rig worker randomly falls dead to the ground. Then later a lot of nothing happens. A man who has a difficult name to pronounce. So I'll call him Weirdo. Looks like he's going for a bike ride, but it also looks like he's dressed as the guy from American Horror Story. He caresses himself, then grabs his balls while Guto, his brother, stares at him. Guto then chops wood. This foreshadows how he will meet his demise. Cadi's first day at Glenda's estate and she's late. Her hair is also wet. Guto's axe head falls on his foot and he pulls a Peter Griffin. Guto finds that he cut his foot. Glenda, the mom, is hosting a dinner and enlists Cadi to help her out. Cadi sets up the table and suddenly she hears gunshots nearby. It's just Quinn, the husband, hunting. Mysteriously a mud mark appears on the tablecloth when Cadi gets up. This is our first clue that Cadi is not human. She represents the Earth Mother Nature. Glenda is not pleased with the mud mark. Cadi goes to the painting to caress it. It almost looks like she wants to make out with it. The painting is actually a map of the property. The rise is where a Welsh myth creature resides. Weirdo interrupts her makeout session with the painting by using the blender. Weirdo is Glenda's son and says he will not be joining them for dinner since he's on a strict diet. Cadi hears Guto playing his guitar, then she decides to snoop around the house. She sees Weirdo taking a bath and starts to lurk while he shaves his private areas. Glenda talks to Cadi while she cuts up some fruit. She tells Cadi that her husband is part of the parliament. Quinn, the husband, comes by with 2 dead rabbits and Cadi is a bit startled by the dead rabbits. Cadi rushes outside and she runs into Weirdo. Cadi is upset by the dead rabbits. And Weirdo talks about how his dad likes to kill innocent things. Glenda is a little disappointed that Cadi isn't familiar with skinning rabbits. But luckily she knows how to do it. She tells Cadi to go to her closet to grab new clothes since Cadi has stained hers. While Cadi gets ready, she looks a bit psycho as she tries on earrings. Quinn apologizes to Cadi for scaring her earlier and asks if they could be friends. As Cadi walks away, Quinn hears a ringing in his ears. While Cadi prepares food, she sings a song, "You Better Watch Out." Glenda comes by and joins Cadi in singing the song. It reminds Glenda of her mom since she used to sing it to her. Quinn compliments Cadi on her beautiful voice. Later Guto and Quinn talk. We find out that Guto is a drug addict. It seems Guto and Weirdo have dad issues as well. The family gets ready for the dinner party. Glenda wonders where Weirdo is. Quinn gets the ringing in his ears again. The camera looks to Cadi looking sinister and there's flashbacks of things that happened. Later, Guto and Cadi talk. Guto asks if Cadi knew his grandparents. And says Cadi is basically mute. Guto admits that he wants to go back to London since it's lively. Guto asks Cadi if she got drugs and Cadi leads him to the forest where she grabs mushrooms. From afar, Weirdo is actually watching them. Euro, a dinner guest, arrives and drops his wine. Cadi is tasked to clean it up. She weirdly inspects the glass and it looks like she stuck it up her skirt. Later Cadi serves Euro. Quinn explains to Euro how he shot the rabbits. Quinn tells Guto to find Weirdo. Guto walks in on Weirdo caressing himself. Guto says at least they'll inherit their parents' money one day. Guto and Quinn almost seem like they're stuck at the house. And they want to hitch a ride with Cadi to leave. Weirdo asks if Cadi let Guto do things to her. And Guto is weirded out by Weirdo, so he leaves. Cadi stares at Euro. Euro drinks some wine, then fishes out long pieces of hair from his mouth. Later Euro and Quinn talk about the land and how Quinn is drilling it for resources. He talks about caves in the area that will need to be inspected. Mare, another dinner guest, arrives. She says her husband couldn't make it because he's helping pull out a car in the lake. Cadi peeks at them from a distance and her hands leave a muddy trail on the wall. Mare meets Cadi and Mare knows of her already. She gives her condolences to Cadi for a recent loss. When Cadi goes to grab the food from the fridge, it makes her gag. She throws up on it on purpose. Meanwhile, Guto's foot is gushing with blood now. He goes over to his mushrooms to eat more. While Cadi is plating, we learn that Cadi's father died when he was building the wind turbines. Weirdo finally joins the dinner party. Quinn is disappointed that Weirdo has left his job as a doctor to focus on being a triathlete. Glenda shows Mare where she goes to relax. Mare inspects the room and is a little creeped out by it since it's basically like a dungeon cell. Cotty looks at them eerily at the hallway. A red feather falls in front of Glenda. And Mare doesn't see this, so she wonders what's wrong with Glenda. They leave the room. Cotty is outside and she starts to lay on the grass. It's almost like she's having intercourse with the earth. Thin vines caress her. More evidence to believe that she is one with the earth. At dinner while they eat, they talk about Quinn's heart scare. But Weirdo dismisses it, saying it was just stomach acid. Kudo interrupts because he notices Weirdo's plate of raw meat. Quinn tells Kudo to go to his room. Kudo leaves. He cuts up more shrooms, then decides to inject the juices into himself. Later, Quinn tells Mare that she has resources on the farm that they're interested in. And Euros is here to help make Mare a lot of money. Mare is a bit hesitant, so Glenda tries to persuade her that the money would help them retire comfortably. Suddenly, Weirdo starts to choke. Quinn comes over to try to help Weirdo. Cotty comes over and shoves her fists down Weirdo's throat and removes large pieces of hair. Glenda thanks Cotty for helping with everything and to bring Kudo some food. Cotty walks away and leaves a muddy trail that Glenda notices. In the bedroom, Cotty sees a very bloody bedroom and sees that Kudo's leg is now infested with maggots. Cotty licks and eats his legs while Kudo screams in agony. Later, Quinn forces Cotty to sing for everyone. Then all of a sudden the ringing in his ears return. The ringing in his ear must represent how he drills the earth with loud machinery. Quinn is being punished for it. Cotty walks away. Weirdo follows Cotty. Cotty hugs him and they start to make out. They head outside. Glenda shows a painting to Mare and explains to her that it's basically a map of their land. Glenda says they found resources in the Rise area, but they need to inspect Mare's side of the land. Mare is displeased because there's superstition not to touch the Rise. She says that is where. Meanwhile, Kudo is now in the forest. Cotty hands Weirdo the axe. Kudo says his brother has raped many women. And Weirdo says it doesn't matter since they were asleep. Weirdo is entranced by Cotty and he axes his brother's leg and blood squirts in Cotty's face. Cotty is happy, then Weirdo decides to penetrate her. Remember from earlier when Cotty inserted a piece of glass inside her? Yep, Weirdo is now in agony as he scrapes and cuts his sausage. At the beginning of the film, we saw Kudo cutting up wood. And with the same axe, his own leg is cut up. These characters are being punished for disrespecting nature. For Weirdo, since he raped girls at the hospital, his sausage is now ruined from the piece of glass that was inserted in Cotty's kitty. Meanwhile at the house, Quinn lays in bed. Glenda tells Euro he needs to smoke outside. Glenda looks at the painting. Then notices someone outside staring at her. It's her dead mother. So she goes outside to look for her, but instead she finds that Mare is back. Mare tells Glenda that the car they pulled off the lake was Cotty's. And that the creature needs a body. So we assume that some earthy mythological creature took Cotty's body and is now taking revenge for drilling the earth. This is why Cotty's hair was wet at the beginning of the movie, since she drove into the lake. Suddenly Quinn is experiencing terrible pain. He makes his way to Glenda's sex dungeon while Cotty walks to him with a skewer. I like vegetable skewers. Cotty closes the door behind her. Euro is back munching on some food. And Glenda is also back looking for Cotty. She brings a knife while she looks for her. Meanwhile, Cotty is singing to Quinn while they insert the skewer into his ear. Quinn eventually dies. Glenda puts on a dress and calls for her kids to come home. Weirdo comes back holding Kudo. And Glenda is distraught, saying they were never supposed to go to the Rise. Later, Euro is now feasting ferociously. Glenda serves him Kudo's foot and he finishes it. I believe this scene depicts how greedy Euro is. His insatiable appetite is punishment for his desire to drill the land. Glenda comes over and shoves a gun in Euro's mouth. She tells Euro that he's taken everything, then shoots him dead. Cotty is then seen stacking the bodies and throwing wood at them while Glenda slices her throat. Cotty then brings Glenda's dead body over to burn everyone. Back at the oil rig machine, Cotty stands there all bloody and relieved now that she can rest in the earth. I'm not entirely sure if Cotty was Mother Nature herself or Glenda's mom. Cotty constantly sang and hummed the song Glenda's mom used to always sing, so it makes me wonder if it's her. Or maybe Mother Nature is like God and all-knowing, so she knew this about Glenda's mom. That is how it ended. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can watch more videos like this. Movie Lovers Recap.